Welcome to the WLPGA podcast series. Each podcast will feature LPG industry leaders and explore current opportunities, trends, and developments in the LPG industry. We hope you enjoy these informative segments.
Greetings, my name is Gordon Feller. I'm here in Silicon Valley. This is June 2020, and I'm thinking back to the Innovation for Growth Summit that the WLPGA convened in Washington, D.C. this year. I had the opportunity to provide a keynote address looking forward at the role that innovation can play coming out of the technology industry in particular, and how it could be relevant not only to the future of LPG, but especially to the future of cleaner cities and smarter cities. First, a word of introduction about myself. I landed in Silicon Valley in 1983 and have focused my life's work in those 38 years since on the problem of developing technologies and services and solutions that would bridge the gap between the work that cities are doing today to manage their transportation systems and fuel their energy systems on the one side, and the role that technology companies can play in helping to advance the cleaner energy and cleaner transportation systems in those cities. So my talk in Washington, D.C. had three key elements, and I want to recap those for you today. The first was to look at how and where and when technologies can be enabling and empowering to those of us like the WLPGA's members who are trying to ensure that lower carbon solutions, lower carbon fuels, lower carbon vehicles are more readily available around the world, especially in urban centers where air pollution is a significant challenge and where the cost of fuels are rising. That is especially the cost of diesel and traditional petroleum-based vehicle fuels. I also spent a good deal of time talking about the way in which city executives, elected and appointed leaders, are working with technology companies to structure their partnerships in order to tap the innovations that the technology world can offer and to successfully transfer those so they can be brought to the heart of what a city does, which is for citizens and visitors, making it possible to move people and goods efficiently, cleanly, smartly, and making it possible to heat and cool and light buildings. These are two fundamentals that cities have to deliver. Obviously, the broader economy of a city depends on the success of the transportation system and the energy system, and as it turns out, looking at global warming and what we know today about the human impact on the planetary environment, these are the two biggest categories for climate changing gases. Not just the fuels that we use to move people and goods around the city, but also the fuels that we use to power our buildings, to cool our buildings, and to heat our buildings. And of course, LPG has a role to play in both of those worlds. So I looked at what kinds of innovations are being developed, have already been developed, and in some cases have been successfully deployed, and what the innovation cycle looks like from the laboratory and research desk, a research bench, to the desks of those who are thinking about applications of those inventions, to the city halls and corporate offices where decisions are made every day about the future of those technologies being applied in the real world. The third part of my presentation, the wrap-up, was all about how the LPG actors, corporates and governments who have embraced LPG and made it a part of their work or put it at the center of their work, how those actors can elevate the importance of LPG, especially as the push toward decarbonization proceeds, and I made the case that the transition to decarbonization is not an easy one, and that LPG could be perhaps the most vital next step for leaders who run cities and companies that are embracing the future, the carbon-free future. So that wraps up my summary of the presentation. I also suggested to participants that they look at meetingoftheminds.org. I'm the founder of that nonprofit organization. I serve on the board there next to a Microsoft executive and a Black & Veatch executive and others. The free webinars, free publications, and other free resources are an important resource for those of us who are thinking about greening the city and the innovations that can make it possible to do that greening. I also encourage people to look at some of the useful experiments on the ground, like the one in Spokane, Washington, which is organized by Urbanova, Urbanova, an organization I helped to found, and I serve on the board with a key utility, Avista, with a key technology company, Itron, with a key telco, Verizon, and with a key university, Washington State University, along with the mayor of Spokane itself. Please feel free to be in touch with me, Gordon@gordonfeller.com, if you have questions, and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you all very much.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we look forward to you tuning in again soon.